For decades, canine psychology was framed as a series of simple transactions: food for affection, toys for attention. The assumption was that every wagging tail boiled down to what was in it for the dog. Imagine a friend comes over for coffee. They're polite to you, but when your partner asks for a hand carrying groceries, your friend ignores them to keep scrolling on their phone. Your dog's ears tilt, their eyes track the interaction. While you overlook the slight, your dog's behavior shifts in response to what they just witnessed. Humans often dismiss this sudden wariness as a random mood or a moment of stubbornness, usually smoothing over the awkwardness with a quick apology for the dog's behavior. This raises a question at the center of new cognitive research. By watching how strangers treat their owners, a process called social eavesdropping, are dogs forming a reputation of that person before they ever interact with them? This reaction appears to be a quiet, active calculation. The dog is deciding, on your behalf, that they don't trust someone who treats you poorly. To test this, researchers in Japan conducted a study with 54 house dogs to see if they would judge a stranger based on how that stranger helped or hindered their owner. This diagram illustrates the 3 scenarios the dogs observed. In each, the owner struggled to open a container. In one version, a stranger helped. In the second, they refused. And in the control, the stranger simply turned away without being asked. After the scene, the stranger and a neutral person both offered the dog an identical treat. Pure self-interest would suggest the dog shouldn't care who the food comes from, as long as they get the reward. The results showed no preference in the helpful or control groups. However, when the stranger had snubbed their owner, the dogs reliably rejected that person, choosing to take the treat from the neutral stranger instead. The researchers defined this as an effective social evaluation, a judgment made in a situation that offered the dog no personal benefit. By refusing food from the unhelpful person, the dog sacrificed a physical reward to avoid interacting with someone who was unkind to their human. To ensure dogs weren't just picking up on their owner's frustration, a second study investigated what specific social cues dogs actually prioritize when watching strangers interact. This visualization shows the full picture a dog requires for social judgment. 13 out of 15 dogs only made a clear choice when they observed a happy voice, open body language, and a physical action occurring together. When researchers stripped away these layers to test only the tone of voice or only the gestures, the dogs chose at random. They gather evidence across multiple senses before deciding if a person is trustworthy. This differs from our closest primate relatives. Capuchin monkeys are famous for their sense of fairness, but that sensitivity is usually triggered when they are the ones being shortchanged, like receiving a cucumber when a peer gets a grape. Canine social judgment is an evolutionary outlier because it focuses outward. The dog is reacting to a slight that didn't land on them, but on someone else. However, recent attempts to replicate these findings have faced a complication. Multiple studies found dogs showed no consistent preference when watching strangers interact with other neutral strangers. In these abstract experiments involving neutral objects, dogs often chose based on simple spatial memory, remembering which side of the room the food came from, rather than the reputation of the person standing there. The contrast between these failed trials and the success of the Japanese container study reveals a crucial motivator: the presence of the owner. Canine social judgment appears to be an emotional security system that activates specifically around the people the dog loves. They care most about fairness when the person being treated poorly is you. Revisit that opening scenario. When a guest arrives and your dog hangs back, view that hesitation as a moment of active data collection. Dogs process a world of microsignals, like stiff shoulders or a sharp tone of voice, that humans are often socialized to smooth over and ignore. Respecting this process means moving away from the outdated practice of forcing a dog to approach or say hello to a stranger when they are showing signs of wariness. Pay attention to the physical data. A loose, wiggly body and a soft mouth signal comfort, while a tight posture, tucked tail, or a flicking tongue indicate the dog is still processing the person in front of them. Giving a dog the space to gather their own evidence allows them to reach their own independent conclusion. Their wariness is a valid vote that should be acknowledged. This ledger of behavior works both ways. Your dog is also observing your kindness toward others, noting the warmth in your voice when you interact with the world around you. Your dog is a quiet social accountant, tracking the coldness and kindness of the world. They stand watch, sorting through the signals of everyone they meet, primarily to keep an eye out for you.